What is going on, everyone? My name is Drew Spencer with the React and Attack Football Podcast, where we try and go over NFL content from all 32 teams every single day. And boy, oh boy, there's always something going on in the NFL world. And if you like what you hear, make sure to like and subscribe. And let's go. An automatic quick reaction to this 49ers win, a victory over the Rams, a game that I thought was going to be close, but didn't really think the Niners had much of a shot. And here they are pulling all the punches, reaching into their bag on both sides of the football and capitalizing at every aspect of it. And it was a phenomenal team win all the way around. And the first guy I want to talk about is the Gladiator, the Warrior today in Mac Jones, where he had twisted his knee in his previous outing against the Cardinals. Um, and it wasn't talked enough about going into this game, but here he was. Obviously, Brock Purdy out. He has to step in, go up against this tidal wave of a defensive line that I've talked about recently. And he goes in there and he plays his absolute heart out and takes so many hits to a point that he's limping. He exits the game. It's almost like we're going to go to our third string quarterback and Adrian Martinez. And now all of a sudden, here I am watching this game. I'm like, oh God, like this season's over. And here he comes back and not 100%, but yet hit after hit after hit. The same problems that I thought about happened and occurred to Mac Jones, but instead of folding under the adversity, he kept getting back up and fighting and trying to win. And I I remember turning to my friend and saying, like, no matter the outcome of this game, Mac Jones is going to receive a hell of a, you know, praise and props by me. Absolutely, because he came in this and to come away with this victory where he played insane. He had over 340 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. He was moving in the pocket even when his knee was down. There was still, I mean, I remember screaming at the TV when, he had just limped out of the game. And then the next drive, we came back in on a 3rd and 1 or a 4th and 1. We quarterback sneaked it. He got it again, which, by the way, the Niners were like 4 for 5 or 5 for 6 on 4th downs today. It just this was like everything on the table. We need to win this game. But Mac Jones, either way, when we did that, I remember screaming at the TV because I was like, dude, like, don't put him in this position to get hurt again. And yet, here he is still bouncing back. And you could tell he was writhing in pain. This is not going to be one of those games where, one of those days when he comes home and he's like, yes, I can really celebrate. And like, no, like, he is battered. And I worry about, his participation going forward with the rest of the quarterbacks because he did take a hell of a beating. But man, his tenacity, that gladiator presence that he brought, it inspired the rest of the offense around him. It really did. Um, I felt like the offensive line came in with a decent game plan as well. Obviously, they let up a lot of quarterback hits and were overwhelmed, but at least when it came to the counter runs and things like that I had anticipated how to beat them, they came in with that aspect, and the run blocking was all there. Um, and just trying to step up now, some mental mistakes here and there, but all around from this, offensive line and Mac Jones, I have nothing but the highest praise for how they came away with this overall strategy and this victory, obviously. But man, even the playmakers stepped up as well because that was another big problem. There were so many receivers out. They showed the graphic multiple times. I'm sure you all saw it. Ricky Pearsall, Juwan Jennings, obviously George Kittle, a lot of these heavy hitter guys, and Brandon Ayuk too, who's going to miss probably a decent amount of the season. And I was worried about this as well. And guess who shows up? Kendrick Bourne, KB, my guys. He comes back and he was pretty solid. He walked so Juwan Jennings could fly essentially for 49ers fans when it came to that because KB was the guy that was Mr. Reliable on third down. Eventually, the Patriots offered him a lot more money than we were willing to give up. And, me as a Niners fan, I was like, hey, man, best of luck. Well, we went to a kind of a dying regime, with Bill Belichick on the wayside. Obviously, Tom Brady was gone by this point. All that kind of stuff went out of the wayside, but got to work with Mac Jones, right? And Kendrick Bourne, through injuries and despite being older, he comes over to us. We get him, and he shows up and has a career high over 10 catches, 140 plus yards. He was incredible today. Every time it was a third down, he was getting it. He had so many yards after the catch. He was stiff arming guys, making incredible contested catches, fighting for his life on each and every play. It was awesome, man. It was absolutely incredible. Um, a blast from the past, and I'm sure all 49ers fans that have stuck with it are like, yeah, let's go, right? Um, just an amazing effort. And then you throw in the versatility that Christian McCaffrey brought as well to this game. Um, Not only was the offensive line doing such a good job, at least in the run blocking, but Christian McCaffrey was finding those holes out of the backfield as a receiver. He was getting his due. He was making men miss. I mean, such an absolute unit. And then, you see Jake Tonges. He steps up in the role, um, trying to fill in as that number one for George Kittle, which is not an easy task. And yet here he is getting another touchdown. It's like every time I look at this kid, he's like getting another touchdown, and he's rolling. And I'm hoping we continue him with this offense. Um, Even once George Kittle comes back. There's so much to say about this Niners win in this that it's overall such an incredible team victory. And so many guys that uh, I was worried about them stepping up were making tiptoe catches or at least trying their heart out. I mean, they crushed it. They absolutely did. Um, for a string of practice squatters, uh, or not even practice squatters. That's too harsh. But your backups when you're clearly not fully healthy. For these guys to all say, "Hey, you can count on me today." Um, just an absolute thrashing showcase from this offense. They impressed the hell out of me. I have nothing but great things to say about them. So, and just for one more final thought on that, on the offense, Mac Jones is a fucking gladiator. But there's three phases of the NFL, and I'm going to break it down with the special teams today for the 49ers, where I've been dogging on them. But when it comes to the overall kicking performance from Eddie Pinero, I have to give an absolute shout out to the guy. A 59-yard field goal. That was impressive. He had a shaky one that bounced off and went in for the game winner eventually. He was perfect. He was automatic. That speaks volumes, man. Under pressure, and I always worried about his length, right? His power. I wasn't worried so much in his accuracy, at least when it got into the mid range of the 50s, right? Like 53 to, earlier, right? Shorter. He comes in, he absolutely nails his kicks. It blew my mind. That 59-yard field goal, and it seemed effortless, and it was pressure galore at that moment, and he rose to the occasion. So a massive shout out to Eddie Pinero, um, with his performance on that side of the ball, man. Killed it. Absolutely killed it. And this is the reason why we should have had a more thorough uh, kicking competition, because we moved off Jake Moody, and here we are finding this guy. And yeah, Maybe we should have been a little bit more thorough, but Eddie Pinero in this game, absolute shout out. Clutch as all can be. It's all you can want from a kicker, man. But we also got to talk and praise Robert Saleh and this defensive front and their game plan in general for this game, as they did get creative. In my preview for this game, I talked about the key ways to win. And offensively, they checked it off. Short passes, scoring early like they did, getting the early advantage, and then counter running against it. And then for the defense, it was trying to get creative. Now, I was wrong. Renardo Green ended up playing this game, which was a massive boost as he had some good plays. He also had a couple mental mistakes as well. But overall, Renardo Green being in there was more than I anticipated because I think I had just seen him, injured or questionable, right? And I was a little bit worried, but nope, he was able to play. So I was glad I was mistaken about that. That being said, though, you know, the secondary, it had its ups and downs in the second half, certainly, but in the first half, they were playing rock solid. But even in the second half, when Matt Stafford and the Rams offense was able to get things going and get into a groove and a rhythm, we saw some incredible plays. Shout out to Diamador Lenore. He had an absolute awesome breakup on Puka Nakua, where he put his hand right in there. And it's just a perfect textbook play. Even the guys that got picked on, Marcus Siegel, he comes in, the rookie safety, and he makes the play of the game at the last second uh, of the game to seal it, coming in to win it. Even though the play beforehand, he got torched by Tutu Atwell. But yet, this defense, their tenacity, their ability to keep coming back, fighting and fighting and fighting and going, it just showed up so well in this game. And also the defensive line. And one of the key ways to I said about winning was would send, some blitzes. And I said mainly like D winners. Well, we were using him. We were also using Marcus Siegel. We were using guys all around. Diamond Lenore got some pressure. I mean, we were trying everything. Kyle Shanahan and Robert Salah going into this game knew that we needed to win this game. We knew we needed to score early and we needed to get ahead of the NFC West because we already have the injuries, but we can still show it. We can still out scheme it because we are used and accustomed to these guys. And that's the reason why, even though I was downer and I did pick the Rams because I was just so uncertain of Mac Jones being able to play at the level that he did, obviously, but also worried about a multitude of factors. We were able to absolutely, put that all the rest, right? Puka Nakua still had his, absolutely, but we still had a good game plan for him. Um, but you know how we attacked their run game was incredible, and Kyron Williams for the Rams, they he definitely screwed them over. He had a terrible game. Multiple fumbles, multiple drop passes. The Niners were a little lucky on some of those because those fall the other way. This game is now we're trying to play catch up, and this is also part of it. There was also a massive, egregious fucking penalty that happened in this game against the Rams, where they did get a fumble, but it was non-reviewable. Uh Look, again, you see me. All 49er fan, right? When I saw that play, I was like, yo, what the fuck was that? uh Horrible fucking call. That's another thing that could have went in the way where the Rams again, this was a close fucking game, who knows? Maybe the Rams wouldn't have capitalized, or maybe the Niners capitalized quicker than we think. There was still time in the game, obviously, but egregious fucking call. But without being sidetracked too much, this defense has been on absolute roll today. Um, and obviously, Alfred Collins, the rookie, my guy, one of my guys coming out of Texas, man. I was over the moon when we drafted him. I was hoping we were to kind of double up on a couple defensive tackles. offensive lineman in the first would have been preferable as well. But instead, either way, we still get Alfred Collins and Michael Williams, who also played a terrific game. But Alfred Collins obviously punches it out at the 1 yard line to make the stand, to push it into eventual overtime for the Niners to win this game. Unreal. And that's not the thing. That's not the only thing, right? Khalil Davis goes down in this game as well. CJ West, our rookie, he's out before this game. Alfred Collins, one of the last D tackles, slated in the game, healthy to play, makes a play like that as a rookie. Are you kidding me? Unreal performance, man. Hats off. As for the Rams, you know, the mental mistakes, like I said about Kyron Williams earlier, definitely set them back. Matt Stafford, though, at, when it was fourth quarter and overtime, I was pacing around my room and not excited because I knew that he could come back. And by all means, this offense had a good game plan, especially going in the second half when, we were able to. And obviously, the offense stalled because Mac Jones got a little banged up as things persisted in the game. But either way, the Rams game plan there in the second, and they were slinging it all over and getting everything open. This is one of those games where just a few mental lapses, an egregious penalty, no doubt about it, um, and obviously some missed field goals, special teams going against them in this aspect. Meanwhile, the Niners get lucky with their kicking woes. It's going around the league, man. Um, Either way, an impressive um, an an impressive showcase from that offense though in the second half, just not enough to coincide with it. A few drops. I mean, Blake Corum also, those targets to him, I'm not sure why you're throwing swing routes to him. I understand it's misdirection, but it doesn't seem like Blake Corum has ever had the hands at this level, and I'm kind of worried what he's doing there, right? Meanwhile, their defensive line did exactly what I thought they would do and put a ton of pressure. They put a ton of quarterback hits on Mac Jones. Despite Mac Jones stepping up and making the plays, there was a living nightmare and a lot of pressure. Everything that I expected from that defensive line, they brought to the table. I know that it didn't result in the victory, but that was the sound mindset. I also got to shout out Nate Landman. He's been a guy that's been on my radar this year. Um, I felt like I discredited. I said all the linebackers are okay for the Rams in my preview. I felt like I did a little disservice to him. I feel like he is a very sound tackler and a good coverage player. Um, but overall, some mental mistakes and some penalties from this Rams unit, and that was basically the difference. But they also had maybe the greatest punt ever in this game. The one that put them at the one, the Niners on the one, like for the first time before it was a stop, like where it bounced at the out of bounds marker and bounced back, and that was just maybe the greatest punt, right? Like maybe the most exciting punt I've ever seen outside of the ones where they just kind of just stop right there, right? But a fun punt, gotta give it that. Um, but overall, a very, very, very good and close game where both fans of both teams can admit we were both shitting ourselves, wondering who was going to fumble it first. And both teams were very aggressive for it on fourth down. And Shanahan McVay rivalry continues to ignite. And we are so lucky to see it all on prime time. Absolute awesome team win for this 49ers unit. Um, Puts us ahead in the NFC West despite all these injuries. Reinforcements are on the way, but there's still word to see how much longer those guys are going to be out. Um, that being said, though, to walk away with this win against LA on the road at this point and go 4-1 with our loss only against an AFC opponent, you have to be absolutely ecstatic as a 49er fan as much as I am. And hell yeah, guys, Let's fucking go. Go Niners. Peace.